is what I mean when I tell you to defend the higher silence. This is what I mean when I tell you that you need to be a threshold guardian. This is what I mean. This is the lesson you should take from all my videos. To give some context, today is July 19th, 2025 at about 8:30 p.m. And about 2 to 3 hours ago, I went to my town watering hole. And I call it my town watering hole because there is a collective community that exists in that place. It's people who are regulars at this establishment, and it's people who have adhered to the cultural norms set by this establishment, because it is the established ideal that is protected by the Beyonder, who had become the most powerful, that we discussed in Understanding Superman 3. That's very important. I hadn't caught that one. I highly recommend it. However, the most powerful being within the established idea is the primary protector of said idea. And so at this local watering hole that I've been going to for about 3 years now since it opened, I am one of the primary figures at this location. I am one of the most common people because of my regular occurrence. The norms that I set through my practice of this established ideal that the brand represents is more common than almost anyone else. Granted, I have friends and there are other regulars at this establishment, but my friends and those other regulars, it is our practices, cultural norms such as the games we play, the beers we drink, the food we eat, every aspect that you see on a macro culture is still present within this microculture or subculture, which is the same for national culture and then comic book cultures. It is the ideals of the most established and most present people that create the higher silence of the cultural cohesion that creates the norm. We talked about this in Invasion, Spring Warrior Gods, and in some other videos, such as the heroics of Jonathan Kent and Mind of Steel. The higher silence refers to the cultural cohesion of everyone within. When outsiders, when invaders come into that space, there must be a threshold guardian that stops them to say, hey, are you compatible with what's inside? And if they're not, they are turned away. If they are compatible with what's inside, or if they are willing to adhere to that established ideal, then they are welcome. However, if they refuse to adhere to the normality of the interior, then they are turned away. If they mean harm to the higher silence, then they are turned away. The threshold guardian stops them at the door. And so about 3 hours ago, I was at the brewery, and this homeless man walks in, and he starts yelling at the people. He starts yelling at the guests of this brewery. He starts yelling, he starts making threats, telling people he will inflict some level of violence, if he is not given money. And so, I had had about enough of his yelling. This was my dojo. This was my place that I attend regularly. And no one can threaten that higher silence so long as I am there. As long as I am there, I am the threshold guardian of that established ideal. At the bar I attend regularly, we are peaceful. We like to engage in conversation. There are no TVs. Everyone engages in polite conversation or craft or art or work. It is similar to a library in this fashion. I was having a discussion with my colleague that I met there, and this disruptive person walks in, and he's making threats to the guests. He's yelling at all of us, and I finally say that's enough. This should not continue. This disruption is not allowed within my higher silence. My only regret is that I should have been a little bit more aggressive, because it absolutely warranted it. If you threaten violence, violence will be threatened upon you. I tried to handle the situation very calmly, and I talked to him very calmly, and I said, hey, let's figure this out outside. Walk with me. And he stopped yelling, followed me outside, and then he tried to break away from me and go bother some other guests. But I said, no, come this way and we'll figure this out. He was desperate and he didn't seem like he knew what else to do. So I did have a bit of sympathy for him. I told him he must leave if I am to help. That is the duty of the Threshold Guardian. He must protect the higher silence by doing what is necessary to get the invader to turn back. Thankfully, violence wasn't necessary on this day. However, had I not had the means to quell such a disruption, then my status as a Threshold Guardian would have been called into question. This is what I mean when I say that you need to defend the higher silence. Your realm is only accessible to the people that will adhere to the cultural norms and the people that will assimilate to the ideals that are established within. The disruptor that came into my bar had no intentions of treating it as if it's a library where they serve beer. He came to disrupt. He came to cause harm to my higher silence. Therefore, it is my duty to intervene. Thankfully, I was able to handle the situation calmly and without violence. Afterwards, my higher silence was at even more peace because of the presence of a defender, because of the Threshold Guardian.